5 years ago, I started my growing journey. It came down to being tired of the same old thing, and I wanted to explore more variety. But the reason I continued wasn't what I expected. After my first harvest, I got this feeling, something I've never had from buying food. I realised I'd unintentionally become a producer, and I formed a connection with the food I ate. This empowering feeling of being able to feed yourself with nothing but soil, light, water and air. It's been quite a journey growing my own food. During that time I've realised that there's so much information out there that it's really hard to know actually where to start.
So Sam, where do we begin?
We've trimmed the fat and created a 4-part beginner series to get you going from zero to being able to grow your own food. So let's get growing. As a new grower, you're going to want something really easy and particularly something really quick. And this is why we're choosing salad leaves for you. You can imagine that as a salad emerges from the ground, it hasn't got a lot of stem to grow before it starts producing those leaves. So there's no waiting around. In fact, you can expect to be harvesting your first salads within about a month. Now, a bonus characteristic of salad plants is that they grow in a way that allows us to cut and come again. Now, all that means is as the leaves fold outwards from the center of the plant, as long as you harvest only the outer leaves, you can continue harvesting for a long period because these baby leaves from the middle grow out to replace them. Now, it's worth mentioning at this point that all of the plants we've selected for you have similar needs when it comes to the compost you use. So all that means is invest in quality. You want good nutrients in there, you want good drainage, so put some money into this at the beginning. We've already told you how leaf vegetables are really fast to grow, but you can get fast root vegetables too. And this is where we choose the radish. It's great for a grower with a limited supply of patience. Now, radishes can handle full sunlight, so if you've got a sunny space, that's great. But they provide options. They don't need all of that light, so they can occupy a space between your other vegetables, or potentially have just 6 hours of daylight a day. Now, unlike salad leaves, radishes, once you harvest them, they're gone. So you have to consider, to extend that harvest, you want to be able to continue sowing seeds repeatedly as you harvest those roots. Now, they're very fast to grow, so again, within about a month you're going to be taking your first plants out of the ground. Great for a beginner. Our next vegetable is another leaf veg, and it's spinach. Super nutritious, again very quick, and it also opens up more options than just the salad bowl for you. It's a similar story with spinach to the salad leaves. You can continue harvesting the outer leaves and that will extend the harvest. It's worth mentioning that spinach does not like too much heat. So if you live in a really sunny location, it's a great thing to grow in containers because you can actually move them out of the sun in the heat of the day and back in when it's a bit cooler. 3 months to grow a beetroot sounds like a really long time, but this is another one of those vegetables which provides options. If you only want to harvest for leaves, it's going to take around a month and you've got those salad options again. But keep them in the ground, and about a month later than that and you can harvest baby beetroot roots. And if you leave it for the full 3 months, then you're going to have full-size beetroots. The technique that I use with beetroot is to take a pinch of maybe 6 to 8 seeds, plant them all in the same location and let them grow together. This may seem a bit weird because we all know beetroot form big roots, but they all expand outwards, and what you end up with is a cluster of beetroot. Once that cluster is growing, you continue to harvest the larger ones, and the idea would be any smaller ones left behind will then be able to catch up and fill the space left over. Now, if you've only got a windowsill to grow on, I might recommend you to skip this plant because it can get pretty big. And the plant is squash. Squash come in so many varieties, in so many shapes and sizes that you're going to find something to fit your space and that's going to excite you to grow it. Now, it's really important for you to understand the different kinds of squash plant. They can be grouped into 2 specific varieties. We're talking about vining types and bushing types. And as the name suggests, a vining type is going to form a vine, and that can really grow across your entire space. Something to avoid because it will take over your garden. On the other hand, bushing varieties, as the name suggests, grow into a bush. And for us as container gardeners, that's going to be way more beneficial. It's going to be our primary choice. Now, one of the things you'll notice with squash is they grow really fast. They grow from a massive seed, and they're full of that energy, which really gives them a head start. Think lots of root space for the compost. Also, a lot of light. So if you live in a shady location, this is another reason to rule squash out. And as well as that, they'll need a lot of water to expand to their full size. One of my personal favourite vegetables to grow are beans. They come in so many different varieties and so many options to grow them. They're another one of those plants which have a lot of energy. They've got those huge seeds which mean they can start off really quickly. Once they're out of the ground, you'll just see them growing almost every day, and it's really exciting to see. One of the other great things about beans is that they can add a lot of colour to your space. They're quite beautiful to look at. Before you get the pods, they will provide you with flowers too, so pollinators will really enjoy that also. Now, beans are also a plant with different varieties which grow in different ways, and you can get climbing beans as well as bush beans. If you are lucky enough to have a vertical space, then just putting a trellis or some garden wire in that location is going to provide a scaffold for these beans to climb, and they're going to produce a huge amount from this vertical space which would otherwise be unused. If going vertical isn't an option for you, don't worry, beans still have you covered. You can grow one of the bush varieties and you can have loads of productive beans on a low bushy plant. Something else worth mentioning about beans is they have a kind of superpower. Now, you might be aware that plants really need nitrogen to grow, and beans have the capability of being able to take nitrogen from the air and fix it into the soil, which will make it useful for other plants around them. Our last plant for you is chard. We're going to be growing it for the stems and the leaves. It is actually a member of the beetroot family, but it doesn't form big roots the same as those beets. Now, it's another one of those plants which you can use the cut and come again technique on. So just keep removing the outer leaves and you'll be harvesting for a long period of time. And one of the constraints with chard is that it doesn't like too much heat. So if you live in a really hot location, maybe you can grow it through the autumn, winter and spring, but the summer is going to mean bitter leaves and you're not going to want to eat those. As a bonus, we're going to mention herbs. I'm not going to talk about anything specific, but it's worth mentioning that if you grow herbs alongside your plants, they're going to offer some kind of protection. Now, the idea is that strong smelling herbs repel bugs. If you do want us to dive deeper into herbs and have a video created on that, just let us know in the comments below and we'll give you more info. So we really hope that was useful information for you guys. Next week we're going to be moving on to a different subject, and we're going to be talking about container gardening, and we're going to be showing you exactly how to set those containers up for success. So don't forget to hit subscribe, also the notification bell, and you can continue your growing journey with us. So we'll see you next week, guys.